Everyone thought he was a useless idiot, but in reality, he's the strongest hero in the world, just pretending to be normal. Back in his old life, Alan was the strongest hero alive. But after years of saving worthless Reddit mods from the FBI, he got tired of it all. On his deathbed, he made a final wish to the mommy milker's goddess to live a normal life next time. And wouldn't you know it, his wish came true. He wakes up in his room, reborn, finally free. Of course, peace never lasts long. His blue-haired brother, who looks like a discount feminist NPC, barges in to tell him their father wants to see them. His dad, a corrupt noble, calls him garbage for still being level 1 and for not awakening any divine powers, something every noble gets. To top it off, the man disowns him, kicks him out of the family, and tells him to go work in the red light district in a sundress. Alan doesn't care. He was waiting for this moment. Finally, freedom. He could live this life his way, without the burden of saving anyone. But then he realizes he still has his powers from his past life. Just as he's thinking about what to do, he hears a scream nearby. 2 girls are being attacked by monstrous dogs. One of them, a tomboyish warrior in armor, is desperately trying to fight them off. But her skills are pathetic. The monsters heal faster than she can hurt them. She tells the other girl, a princess named Lisa, to run. But instead of running, Lisa just freezes, standing there like she's waiting to be eaten. The warrior keeps swinging but eventually gets slashed and knocked down. Alan watches from afar with his magical eyes. Seeing Lisa in danger sparks a memory. When they were kids, men once mocked him at a banquet. But Lisa stood up for him, saying everyone loves thick femboys. That memory is enough for him to step in. As the monsters close in, Alan flashes forward like lightning, appearing between Lisa and the beasts. He grabs one by the throat and crushes it. Lisa gasps, saying PETA will be furious, but Alan doesn't care. He slaughters 3 of the monsters instantly. Then, spotting their weakness, he summons ethereal swords and rains them down, annihilating the rest, giving PETA a collective heart attack. The tomboy warrior apologizes to Lisa for failing her and vows to behave like a proper girl in the kitchen next time. Alan ignores their drama, steps up, and uses healing magic on her wounds by pressing his hands on her chest. She's healed instantly, leaving both girls stunned. Everyone thought Alan was a creepy, useless loser. Yet here he was, pulling off miracles. He lies that he learned healing magic at church after being pepper-sprayed too many times. Lisa explains why she's here. While praying to the mommy milker's goddess, she received a prophecy. If she doesn't help the hero achieve his goal, their entire kingdom will fall to degenerates, furries, and femboys. That's why she left the capital with Betty, the tomboy warrior who was supposedly one of the kingdom's strongest fighters, though she just got bodied by stray dogs. Alan doesn't want to get political, so he just fixes their broken carriage with healing magic, and they set off. Along the way, Lisa begs him to come to the royal capital. She praises his powers and even bribes him by saying he can sniff her socks if he joins. Tempting, but Alan refuses. He only wants a normal life, free from fame. Still, he promises to travel with her while she searches for the prophesied hero. Eventually, they reach the village from Lisa's vision. Strangely, no monsters roam the area, which is suspicious. As they walk, they come across a commotion. A girl being kicked out of an old man's house. This flat-chested girl is Akira, the so-called hero chosen by fate. She even carries Alan's old holy sword, though she doesn't recognize Lisa at all. Instead, she demands they buy her lunch first. Inside the restaurant, Akira casually eats while The story begins when Akira tells the group that while she was wandering around the village, she spotted a frightened young girl running through the woods. Concerned, she stopped her and asked if she was all right. The girl trembled and claimed that a dragon was going to eat her. Hearing this, Akira decided to hide the child in a nearby cave before heading into the village to gather more information. She went to an old man's house to ask questions, but instead of helping, he rudely told her that he doesn't talk to flat girls and threw her out. Alan finds the whole situation suspicious and comes up with a theory. Perhaps the villagers are deliberately sacrificing girls to the dragon in order to gain protection. That would explain why no monsters are ever seen around the area. The theory makes sense to everyone, so Akira boldly declares that she's going to march up the hill and slay the dragon herself. Lisa immediately volunteers to join her, since the prophecy states she must guide the hero. Betty, of course, follows right after, though it's obvious her true motive is to get closer to Lisa. Alan sighs deeply, realizing that all three of them are girls, and if they go alone, they'll likely be overpowered. So he decides to go with them as backup. As they climb the hill, Akira confidently explains her plan. She will go straight up the mountain and face the dragon head-on, while the others circle around to flank it. Alan knows this is reckless as Akira is nowhere near strong enough, so he offers to take the front himself. But Akira, filled with confidence, insists that just because he's a man doesn't mean he's stronger than her. She even promises to spar with him after she defeats the dragon, just to prove it. Knowing there's no point in arguing, Alan reluctantly agrees. When Akira finally confronts the dragon, the beast immediately awakens and breathes a massive wave of fire. She narrowly dodges and counters with a lightning spell, but it's so weak that it only makes the dragon laugh. To make matters worse, the dragon reveals that the kidnapped girl is with him and admits that he's been terrorizing the villagers simply for fun. Enraged, Akira gathers all her strength and charges with a lightning-infused slash, posing like a hero afterward, only to realize the dragon is completely unharmed. He laughs and swats her aside with ease, leaving her incapacitated on the ground. Just as the dragon moves in to finish her off, Alan steps forward. With a single slash, he cuts off one of the dragon's wings, knocking it to the ground. He tells the girls to retreat while he takes on the dragon alone. Furious, the Red Dragon King, known as the strongest dragon in the world, charges at full speed. But Alan calmly unleashes a powerful aerial slash, stopping it cold. The dragon, shocked by his strength, tries to flee and even attempts to use the girls as hostages. But Alan doesn't hesitate. He charges in and pierces the dragon cleanly with his blade, delivering the final blow. The mighty Red Dragon King falls, and the group celebrates their victory. Alan, however, realizes the truth. Without him, these girls wouldn't last a single day in this world. So, he decides to postpone his retirement until Lisa's prophecy is fulfilled. The next morning, Alan wakes under a tree to find Lisa staring at his face. When he asks why, she calmly replies that she just can't believe someone could be that ugly and wanted a closer look. Meanwhile, Akira and Betty are already sparring nearby, fighting to decide who gets Lisa's attention first. Alan suddenly recalls that the night before, Lisa secretly used Saint Class healing magic to save Akira. Lisa quickly warns him not to reveal this to anyone. It's a secret she has been keeping. Alan promises to keep both her secret and her trust safe. Just then, Akira calls out to Alan, claiming that if he wants even a chance at Lisa, he'll have to fight both her and Betty first. Later that day, as they prepare their wagon, Akira suddenly decides to travel alone, saying she can handle herself. Alan asks if she'll be all right, but she insists she'll manage. And with that, the party's journey continues. Our story continues as Alan and the group prepare to move forward. Before parting, the girl warns Lisa to be careful of the authorities, then leaves on her way. Alan, still suspicious, shrugs it off and the group heads into the wagon. Inside, Lisa apologizes to Alan because during the battle with the dragon, his sword had broken. She explains that in the nearby village there's a talented blacksmith named Noel, an old friend of hers, who forges exceptional weapons. Alan tells her not to worry about the sword, but agrees to visit the village anyway. Meanwhile, back at Alan's home, his father and his arrogant brother Karen discuss how their plans have failed. It's revealed that they were the ones who sent monster dogs to attack the princess, and they had even made a deal with the dragon to eliminate the hero. Their true goal is to take revenge on the kingdom. Karen starts shouting like a madman, but his father silences him and instead orders an old butler to gather more information about the princess's whereabouts. Back in the village, Alan is shocked by the place. The streets are filled with strange characters and he wonders how such chaos hasn't been cleaned up yet. He decides to hold his tongue and follows Lisa to Noel's house. Inside, they find Noel collapsed on the floor, which startles Lisa. Thankfully, she's only exhausted from working all night. Lisa heals her, then asks if she can forge a new sword for Alan. Noel refuses, saying she's already overwhelmed with customers. When she sees Alan's broken sword, she initially mocks him for not taking proper care of it, claiming she could never make a weapon for someone so careless. But at Lisa's request, she examines the blade with her special ability. She realizes that the sword wasn't misused at all. It had been wielded perfectly until it finally reached its limit. Impressed, Noel changes her mind and agrees to forge a new sword for Alan. She then kicks them all out so she can work in peace. That evening, the group goes to find a lodge. Unbeknownst to them, a girl in a peculiar outfit has been spying on them. She secretly reports back to the old butler, confused because there was supposed to be only Lisa and her useless guard, not another warrior. Later, Alan takes the dragon scales he collected to the Adventurers Guild to sell. At the counter, the receptionist, who has never seen a red dragon scale before, panics and starts shouting. This draws the attention of the old butler and the girl spying on them. The butler asks Alan how he obtained the scale. Alan truthfully explains that he and his party fought the Red Dragon King and emerged victorious. Suspicious, the butler uses his skill to check Alan's level. To his shock, Alan appears to be only level 1, a complete novice. When he asks if the hero was with them, Alan admits she was, and that together they defeated the dragon. The butler leaves, convinced that Alan is just a weakling tagging along, but the girl remains suspicious, feeling that Alan is hiding something. The next morning, Alan and the party return to Noel's house. Once again, she's collapsed from exhaustion, but Lisa revives her. This time, Noel proudly presents Alan with his new sword, a slender, glowing blue blade. Alan admires it immediately, calling it one of the finest weapons he has ever seen. The eager elf encourages him to test it right away, but Lisa insists Noel rest before doing any more work. Later, they head into the forest to try the sword against monsters. On the way, Alan asks why Noel, an elf, chose the path of a swordsmith when such work is usually done by dwarves. Noel explains that she lost her family at a young age. While wandering the forest, she was saved by a dwarf named Vanessa, who took her in and raised her. It was Vanessa who inspired her to learn the craft of forging weapons. Sadly, Noel lost her as well in a tragic accident, but she honors her memory by continuing the work she was taught. And so, with Alan now armed with a new blade and Noel's tragic past revealed, The party prepares to face the dangers that lie ahead. Before Noel could explain further, the mysterious butler appeared once again, this time with the young girl by his side. He confronted Alan in the forest, asking if he was there to slay monsters. Alan, annoyed, told him to stop stalking them or he'd report him to the authorities. The butler, unsettled, quickly withdrew. Alan pressed deeper into the forest and soon encountered a group of monsters. With his newly forged blade, he cut through them with ease, reducing them to shreds. To him, the weapon was already proven strong enough. But Noel, unsatisfied, insisted they continue on to face even stronger foes, dragging him further into the woods. Suddenly, Alan sensed something. He activated his magic eyes and unleashed a slash that shattered an invisible barrier ahead. What appeared behind it was a massive beast, an abomination of wolf and tiger fused together. The sight froze Noel in place, her face paling with fear. This was the creature that had killed Vanessa, the dwarf who once saved and raised her. With trembling eyes, Noel begged Alan to slay the monster immediately. But Alan hesitated, uncertain whether striking down the beast was the right choice. As Noel's fear grew, her mind drifted back to painful memories of her childhood. She remembered being taken in by Vanessa, who rarely spoke and seemed fully absorbed in her craft. Noel had tried everything to get her attention, calling her name, seeking affection, even stumbling around with weapons. Yet Vanessa remained focused, endlessly hammering away at her blades. At times, Noel felt invisible, surviving on scraps, ignored by the one person she longed to connect with. Only when Vanessa finally completed a sword did Noel see a faint smile cross her face. That single moment of recognition stayed etched in her heart. Snapping back to reality, tears streaming, Noel begged Alan once again, destroy the beast that killed Vanessa. But Alan refused. The creature wasn't attacking anyone, it was asleep, far from any human settlement. To him, killing it was pointless. Enraged, Noel grabbed Alan's sword and charged forward. Alan stopped her, warning that it was useless. The beast was surrounded by a powerful protective spell that repelled all but sacred weapons. He told her bluntly that her blade, no matter how finely forged, was not strong enough. His words crushed her spirit. Alan left her with the choice, saying she could do as she pleased, then walked away. That evening, Alan reunited with Lisa and Betty, recounting everything that had happened in the forest. Lisa was puzzled. Why would such a powerful monster hide away, doing nothing? Alan suspected foul play, explaining that the area had been cloaked by magic designed to keep the beast invisible. Someone had deliberately placed it there. He turned to Lisa and demanded the truth. Why had she really come here? Surely it wasn't just for forging a sword. Lisa, cornered, admitted he was right. Their true mission was to investigate the assassination of their army's general, a man of honor, known for his righteousness. One day, he was found dead in his own home, his head stolen, with no trace of forced entry. The bizarre circumstances pointed to something inhuman. Betty suggested it must have been a demon, since no ordinary person could accomplish such a feat. But they had no idea why a demon would target him so secretly. Meanwhile, deeper in the forest, the young girl checked on the monstrous wolf. She was baffled. How could someone like Alan, a mere human, have broken her invisibility barrier so easily? She returned to the butler and gave her report. The butler, dismissive, declared the town boring and announced it was time to move on. He ordered the girl to kill both the princess and Noel. Shocked, she hesitated, but the butler reminded her of the slave collar bound to her neck. She had no choice but to obey. That night, Noel worked tirelessly on a new blade. Alan had given her advice on what flaws to correct, and this time she was determined to create a weapon beyond compare. She hammered the steel with fierce resolve, just as Vanessa once had, until exhaustion overcame her and she collapsed beside the anvil. In her dreams, she relived the nightmare of the day Vanessa was slain. The monstrous wolf, the invading butler, and the overwhelming loss that left her with nothing but grief. The wolf shoves her hard, sending her sliding through the house. She barely manages to stabilize herself before charging back in for an attack. But to her shock, the moment her blade touches the beast, it shatters into thousands of pieces. The wolf lunges in and tears into her with its sharp fangs, blood dripping from its mouth. The monster turns its eyes toward Noel, ready to finish her off. But before it can strike, a huge bolt of lightning crashes down, shocking the wolf. A hero steps in front of Noel, standing as her shield. The wolf, unfazed, charges again, only to be shocked a second time. Yet, it shakes off the lightning as if it were nothing and attacks once more. This time, the hero counters, slashing the monster across the face with her sacred sword. The strike is enough to frighten the butler, who decides to flee the scene. The hero apologizes for failing to save Vanessa, but Noel is devastated. Not only because Vanessa is gone, but because the blade she had worked so hard to create shattered instantly on impact. Through tears, Noel swears she will one day forge a blade even greater than a sacred treasure. The next morning, Noel wakes up feeling lighter and better. She wonders if Lisa had healed her, but when she checks, no one is around. In truth, it was Alan who healed her secretly during the night to ensure she stayed safe. Later that day, Noel completes a new sword. This time, she's confident it can rival a sacred weapon. At night, she wanders out alone, determined to slay the monster. She finds the wolf sleeping and tries to strike, but the beast senses her approach and hurls her into a tree with one swipe. Barely standing, she faces both the wolf and the butler, who commends her for her durability. Most people would have died from that single blow. She charges once more, but thanks to her poor luck, the wolf easily dodges and kicks her in the back. The butler mocks her, telling her to prepare her last words. Just as the wolf is about to finish her, Alan suddenly appears, cutting the monster back with his blade. The butler laughs. It was all part of his plan. At that very moment, an assassin disguised as a little girl sneaks into the princess's chamber to kill her in her sleep. But the bed is empty. Betty and Lisa appear, exposing her thanks to the barrier spells Alan placed earlier. The assassin immediately attacks, but Betty intercepts her. The two clash fiercely, and just when Betty is about to deliver a finishing strike, the princess stops her. Using this hesitation, the assassin strikes Betty in the head and grabs Lisa by the arm, stopping just before killing her. The princess realizes the girl is being forced to fight against her will. Betty then knocks her unconscious, sparing her life. Meanwhile, the butler orders the wolf to kill both Alan and Noel. But unlike Vanessa's blade, Alan's sword does not break. With one clean strike, Alan slays the wolf instantly. Seeing his beast fall, the cowardly butler flees for his life. Alan carries Noel back to the city, where they regroup with Lisa and interrogate the captured girl. They learn the truth. She was enslaved when the butler raided her village and slaughtered her people. With no home left, she had no choice but to obey him. Her words remind Noel of her own tragic past. Just like Vanessa once took her in, Noel frees the girl and promises to give her a new home. Overwhelmed, the girl breaks down in tears, but Alan is not satisfied. The butler still lives, and Alan is determined to end him once and for all. He ventures deep into the forest alone, using his special attacks to track the man. But while the butler hides in the mountains, a demon finds him first and kills him. Shockingly, the one who ordered the demon to kill him was none other than Alan's own father. Not only that, but he is also responsible for murdering the kingdom's general. Alan's father commands the demon to eliminate the hero and the princess as well. But Alan's brother steps forward, insisting that he wants to deal with the princess's party himself. Back at Noel's workshop, Alan and his companions are still trying to uncover clues about the general's killer. But no leads turn up until Noel mentions a local legend. She recalls a story of a ghost clad in silver armor who appears at night in a nearby village's graveyard. Betty, terrified of ghosts like a child, freaks out upon hearing this. While everyone teases her, Lisa suggests investigating the story. Alan agrees, reasoning that if demons are involved, they might learn how to raise the dead and discover the truth. That evening, the party travels to the village where the locals are busy preparing for Halloween. Lisa asks the villagers if they've seen a man in silver armor, but the villagers claim they've never seen such a thing. Disappointed, Lisa begins to wonder if the story was just a myth. Alan, however, insists they check the graveyard, just as Noel's story had described. The group makes their way to the village graveyard, but it's completely empty. Still, Betty stays on edge. At the sound of rustling leaves, she quickly turns, ready for a fight, but instead of an enemy, she finds only a man with strange, white eyes. They don't sense any danger from him, and soon he leads them to the village chief's home. The chief greets them politely but denies ever seeing any ghost clad in silver armor around the area. As a gesture of hospitality, he invites Lisa and the others to stay for 2 days and enjoy the village's upcoming festival. Alan immediately accepts and accommodations are arranged. That night, as Lisa sleeps, she dreams of her childhood. She remembers her uncle, a loyal knight and bodyguard whom she adored deeply. But her dream is interrupted by the creaking of floorboards. Curious, she gets up to investigate. Peeking outside her window, she's shocked to see a silver knight who looks almost identical to her uncle. The knight slowly walks away, and Lisa, unable to resist, follows. Her chase leads her to the cemetery, where the knight suddenly vanishes. In his place, zombies crawl out from the ground. Lisa screams in terror but suddenly wakes up. It was just a nightmare. Still trembling, she clings to Alan for comfort, asking to stay close a little longer. The next evening, the villagers dress as ghosts to celebrate the festival. They light a massive bonfire and dance joyfully around it. Among them, the same white-eyed man approaches and invites Alan's group to join. Lisa claims she's tired and excuses herself, asking Alan and Betty to enjoy the celebration without her. Alan, suspicious of the villagers, secretly uses his magic eyes to scan them. Sensing something is wrong, he accepts Lisa's request and heads toward the dancing crowd with Betty. Left alone, Lisa suddenly notices a strange smoke drifting by. Then, she hears her uncle's voice. She turns and sees him standing behind a group of masked villagers. Overcome with emotion, she pushes her way through the crowd and chases him into the dark forest. The smoke grows heavier, and finally, the Silver Knight appears before her. It is her uncle. He warns Lisa of the dangers of wandering the forest at night, but Lisa smiles and tells him she fears nothing when he is by her side. Her mind flashes back to the day she last saw him, guarding her as their carriage traveled through treacherous mountains. When monsters attacked, he leapt to her defense, fighting desperately. One beast struck him down, seizing him in its jaws and flying away. With his last strength, he pierced the monster's heart, and both plunged into the river below. The search party never found his body. Believing him alive, Lisa had clung to hope all these years. Now, standing before him, she asks where he's been. Her uncle answers darkly. He has spent his time burning with hatred for the royal family, plotting revenge. He claims the king, Lisa's father, is trying to kill her. According to him, the emperor seeks to eliminate all gifted people. Noel, the kingdom's general, even Lisa herself, with her power as a saint. He insists the king views them as apostles of God who would one day rebel. That, he says, is why they must all die. Reaching out his hand, the knight urges Lisa to join him in defeating her father. Lisa is shaken, but refuses to trust his words blindly. Even if his claims hold truth, she believes they can resolve matters peacefully. The knight realizes she won't be swayed and reveals his true form, his body rising unnaturally into the air, dark magic flowing around him. He attacks, but before he can strike, Alan arrives. He blocks the attack and forces the knight back. Alan reveals he's been watching over Lisa and knows the truth. Her uncle's body is being controlled by a demon. Using his magic, Alan shatters the spell, freeing the knight from the demon's grip. Weak, the knight admits Lisa's worry is wasted because he is already dead. He thanks Alan for releasing him from the curse that forced him to fight against his own niece. He also reveals that his words about the king wanting to kill her were lies planted by the demon. Before fading, he makes one final request of Alan: to spar. Alan accepts, and the two clash blades in a display of skill and respect. As Lisa watches, she recalls her uncle's promise that he would protect her until the day a man stronger than him stood by her side. That day has finally come. Defeated, the knight collapses into Lisa's lap. With his last breath, he tells her to stop crying, reminding her that she was like a daughter to him, and wishing her a life of happiness. Later that night, as Alan keeps watch from the fortified wall, the village chief approaches. He asks Alan how long he's known their secret. Alan calmly reveals he knew from the beginning. All the villagers are dead, controlled like puppets. The chief, however, has no intention of letting Alan leave. He reveals his true form, a demon. Summoning his army of zombies, he orders them to attack. But Alan shatters the control spell and slices through them with a single strike, cutting the demon and his horde in two. The corpses disintegrate, leaving behind a glowing magic core. The next day, as they continue their journey, Alan inspects the core and realizes it carries the power of his younger brother. He concludes that his brother is the one behind reanimating Lisa's uncle and even orchestrating the general's death. But before they can discuss further, a soldier arrives with shocking news. The general, who was thought to be dead, has suddenly returned. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to subscribe for the next part.